Welcome to the Purim Show. My guest today is Pastor Del Moen, and he has three charges, three congregations that he serves. But we're going to talk to you today more about the Wadena Otter Tail Long-Term Recovery Project. And welcome so much. Thank you for being with us on the Purim Show.
Thank you. It's good to be here. When we talk about tornado recovery, so much of that has happened, so much of the conversation has happened in the city of Wadena, and it's really important to talk about the Otter Tail side of that disaster because it was a 30-mile stretch from Elmora all the way north to Bluffton, and that's a lot of miles, and it's a lot of people involved. And
yeah, you know, I guess I didn't realize that.
And it's mostly rural, and it involves little towns that they were affected just as much as Wadena.
Well, it's interesting. You were talking earlier when we visited a little bit before we started filming about the plat book, and when you look at the plat book. Right,
and one of the things that we had to do in response to the tornado was get that plat book out and just drive and drive and drive, because a lot of little township roads I'd never been on, and I knew the main drag through there, and I learned a lot. Yeah. And fortunately, we had very capable county and township people that knew their area and knew their people, and that helped begin the recovery process, the emergency part of the recovery, but then finally starting to do the planning for long-term recovery. They've been very involved, and because it's so isolated and on the less populated end of the county, Otter Tail people who've been suffering from the tornado have gotten much less conversation and press.
Yes.
So we want to always be concerned about them, make sure that their needs are taken care of.
Well, what is the role of the Wadena Otter Tail Long-Term Recovery?
It's been given the official responsibility of helping people who've suffered from the tornado to recover, and what our job is to meet their unmet needs beyond underinsurance or no insurance. And so however they were affected by the tornado, usually, most definitely economically they were affected, and oftentimes their home was damaged, or they lost their home, or their business or farm were damaged. We're able to assess the damage, assess all their needs, and then begin to make resource connections to help them begin recovering.
Well, I was going to ask you if that is part of your role, is to help people. Can they call you and say, you know, holy smokes, I didn't even imagine that this was going to be part of the problems that we're having in the recovery. Can you help me, or this is my need? Can they call somebody?
They can call, and that's a part of it. This is a long-term process. This isn't a 3-month process or 6 months. It's up to 3 to 5 years, and people, it takes that long to recover. The disasters that have happened in Minnesota these last years, they've learned a lot, and that's one of the big things they've learned. Is not a fast process. It takes a long time, and the communities have to realize that and always be diligent in making sure that they keep contacting the people that were affected, and so they're not forgotten.
If I were to call you and say something, you know, what number would I call first?
We have that's a good question, and we'll get that number for you.
Okay.
We have the long-term recovery office in the city of Wadena. It's on Main Street, and that office is open every day, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 3:30. And we have 5 staff people working there, and they have different roles. We have an intake worker, a case manager, who you would talk to, and they would meet with you to find out what your situation is. And then we begin the process of usually how we help is if for instance, you've had damage to your roof, and you would get a bid for what it would cost to repair it, and would bring that all that paperwork in, or maybe you've already paid for the the reconstruction of your roof, and bring all those receipts in, and then that gets approved by a subcommittee and finally the committee. And so all of that gets dispersed then.
So you actually have funds to...
The common community pot that was raised by very generous people over these last months, we've raised approximately $350,000, and that keeps growing. And that goes to help with the direct recovery for people. So.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back from here at the Lakes Cafe in downtown Perham. So stick with us. We're going to talk about some of the volunteers that are helping with the recovery. Welcome back to the Perham Show. I'm speaking with Pastor Del Moen, and we're talking about the Wadena Otter Tail long-term recovery project that is going on, and I'm not sure if project is the right word, but you said you have 5 people in Wadena. You've got the number to call, but you've got volunteers working throughout the region that was affected by the tornado.
The recovery project for recovering from the tornado has been probably the biggest part of it has been volunteers. Right from the beginning of after the tornado, volunteer support just poured in from the region, and also volunteers from the wider community as far as the cities and counties. Well, they came from all over northern Minnesota, even down into the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And all of those folks helped in the immediate emergency, and since then we've had regular volunteer groups come to either clean up the mess, or they volunteered to help in reconstruction, or a whole variety of ways. We have a Camp Noah, which is a way to work with kids and their families on some of the emotional and tough stuff with recovering from the disaster. We just this past week in below zero weather, we've had volunteers out putting Tyvek up and
wow.
getting roofs secured, and so all of those things have continued on into this winter. So
you know, it's amazing. For you know, I live in Otter Tail County, and I am ashamed to admit right here and now that, you know, I kind of forget about the tornado. I kind of forget about that, and I bet that I'm not the only person.
Probably not, and if you drive that road, especially Highway 29 or in that area, you'll see the results of the tornado every day. In the wintertime it even looks more severe, but one of the things I want to say is we've got people that are really resilient. I mean, these folks were hit hard, and that hasn't held them down, and they're coming back, and they got a can-do attitude, and everybody is, you know, working together, and they've made some tremendous strides in recovery. This community of Wadena, if you drive through those neighborhoods now, they're looking a lot better than they did 3 months ago. So
yeah. So for somebody like me that, you know, is there a way that just people can help now this time of year? And
that's right. At least a part of the help, if you can help with fundraising, that would be wonderful. The recovery effort, to continue this over the long haul, we need to raise more money.
And how can somebody write a check to you?
The Wadena Otter Tail Long-Term Recovery is how you write it, and you send it to Wadena State Bank.
Okay, Wadena State Bank, and I wanted to, we didn't have that phone number
Yep.
in our first segment of the show, so what is the phone number?
The Wadena Otter Tail Long-Term Recovery Office number is 218-632-7905. You can call there if you have a need that we can help with, if you've suffered from the tornado, or you can call there to volunteer or find out what's going on, and they'll give you the information.
Very good. Well, Pastor Del Moen, I appreciate so much having you on the Perham Show, and hopefully we can get some you know, regular updates on the work that continues to go on in our listening area. So thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in as well.